So, very good morning to all of you students. The first lecture of your CA Intermediate, Income Tax and GST. So, students, this particular batch is for all the students who will be appearing for May 24, November 24. Obviously, right now, all the students who are sitting here, you have just cleared your CPT. Maybe one of the students, couple of them are the direct entry students. And all of your attempt would be for May 24 and November 24 attempt. Now, students, first and the foremost point, I'll just first give you a brief introduction about myself. Then, second, I will just tell you about the introduction of this new course, because obviously you would be aware that this is now a new course altogether for May 24 and November 24 attempt. And then on the subject of income tax and the GST. The first lecture, this is the first class, so we will have an introductory session today, and then I'll tell you the entire scheme of the way we are taking across all the particular areas of this subject, and I'll take you through step by step how we are going to deal on this particular subject. So, students, first of all, myself, Durgesh Singh. I'm actually from Mumbai, and I have been teaching from 2004. I qualified my chartered accountancy back in 2003, and as far as my qualification, I'm CA rank holder, CA final 21st rank, and I did my articleship as well as my post qualification. I was with Ernst and Young in their taxation department. Now, for the last, you can say now, from 2004 till now, 19 years effectively, I've been teaching the students. And I still remember the first batch was this kind of an audience. And my first batch students in 2004 are currently the partners in EY. They are directors in multinational company. Many of them have done their startups. They are in a very, very big position. And I can see that today in the first class which I'm having it, many of you would also be having the same level of profile after 10 or 15 years down the line. So, my best wishes to all of you students. First, congratulations to the fact you all have cleared your CPT examination. It's one of the important milestone that you have achieved. Now, one thing is for sure that you have to now, you are in this particular CA course, you have to become a chartered accountant. One good part for the students who have not cleared CPT, at least they have a thought that whether they want to pursue CA or not. That option is not there now with you. You have to now do this, and I'm telling you students, this particular professional course of chartered accountancy is one of the most rewarding particular course. Maybe at this point of time you may not realize it, but as you will go forward, you'll know what this course will assure to all of you. One particular point, students, which is there, CA intermediate now. In the CA intermediate students, in the new course, this I can tell you students, the change that has taken place. I think all of you may be somewhere familiar about the old and the new course, but I'll tell you exactly what is the situation now. The new course students has made a very big changes. Changes of what? I'll tell you what is the changes. The CPT, they will say foundation. More or less students, that level will remain the same. You'll say, sir, but subject may have changed. That is fine. But the level as such, in terms of the kind of questions that they will ask in the examination, the kind of the level of toughness, difficulty will be the same, will not change. But what has changed is this particular level, which is CA intermediate. This is what has changed big time. Students, I think all of you may be aware of the fact. How many subjects are there? 6 papers. Earlier, how much old course, how much paper were there? 8 papers. So one thing students may feel that, sir, the syllabus has came down. Earlier it was 8, now it is 6, isn't it? But also understand the fact that in CA final what has happened. Please be careful. In terms of CA final, if you see earlier we had 8 papers. Now effectively it is 6 papers. 6 plus 2. This 2 is like, it's not like an examination for 2. Like you can give it as and when you want to give it. You will come to know. Right now just focus on 6. It's 6 only. What has happened now in intermediate students, I'll tell you. Many of the content of the CA final actually has also been put up in the intermediate. So the level has increased so far as inter CA is concerned. The level has increased. And I can tell you, earlier was, if students would qualify CA intermediate, there was no surety whether they will qualify CA final or not. But now my assessment, students, time will tell, but my assessment goes like this, that if in the new course, which all of you are going to appear, in the new course, if the students qualify CA intermediate, then by default you will qualify your CA final examination. So they have ensured that intermediate level has kept on a higher side. So this is what is my assessment so far as your intermediate is concerned. You will find one every subject, like earlier we had 2 accountancy paper, now it is only 1 paper of accountancy. But you will find that lot of shifting has happened from lot of churning has happened in the subject so as to raise the level of inter CA. Earlier inter CA students were not that taken seriously, but now you people, when you qualify your intermediate, you will be taken very seriously in the industry because of the kind of content that you people are going to go through for the next around 9 months or so in this scenario. So this is one of the most exciting particular level students that you people are in. And what is only required from all of you is the same level of sincerity that you have done in your CPT. The same sincerity, the same dedication is required at this level, student, because this is the most crucial level, I will say, in the new course now. Most crucial level. Frankly speaking, you clear this, you are bound to become a chartered accountant. In the first attempt in CA final, chances of first attempt is very high, and that is what you should aim at for. There are other things, students, as we will progress further about it. I definitely will share with all of you all the wisdom, all my input, so as to ensure that you get the best of the mentorship, best of the content, and best of the guidance, not only for the subject, but primarily definitely for your career as well. Okay. Now coming on this particular subject, students, income tax and the GST. Obviously, students, this is one of the very important topic on the subject that you are now going to learn. The very first time that this subject you are going to learn. This is also the very first time that you people are going to learn the subject of income tax and GST. Chances are very high, or may I say, 80% of the students will end up doing their practice or a career in taxation. 80%. 20% I'm just giving it for auditing and this thing, but practically this becomes one of the most important paper also. And I must tell to all of you, if you may have your senior students, any of your senior who have done your inter CA, please ask them what is the level of this particular paper in the examination, and they will tell you the level is very high of this particular paper, students, specifically income tax and GST. And one of the reason why students find this subject a bit difficult is that because conceptually they are a bit weak, and that is where we will be investing very thoroughly so far as the subject is concerned. I'm assuring to all of you, the way you are going to learn the subject, the way we are going to practice the subject will make the subject a most, definitely you will have your interest one, But more importantly, this subject will become one of the most scoring paper for your intermediate. Students, if you see here the syllabus of, I think all of you are aware, this paper is divided into two parts. Taxation is a paper divided into two parts. One is income tax, another is the GST part. If I have to tell to all of you one important thing, the income tax students, the income tax syllabus which is there here in taxation, I'll just put across some observation over here. In terms of the classroom also, please be careful. In the taxation front, the two part is the income tax and the GST. If you see the kind of the paper which is over here, this particular side is lengthy actually. This particular side is very lengthy. If you see the kind of the volume, this is going to be very lengthy. This particular part is relatively, it's not that lengthy. Topics are limited, so any case it is fairly, in this case, less lengthy. I will say this way. So lengthwise, I'm just talking about this particular part. Income tax quite lengthy, GST less lengthy. But be careful. Students, what they do is that income tax they don't practice much, and then what happens? Although they may clear their intermediate, but final C, I'm telling you, students, they struggle a lot. In fact, I just have concluded the crash course and all. Their fundamentals are so weak that when they will qualify their final CA, how they are going to deal with the paper, they are clueless about it. This is the real challenge of the many students. Their fundamentals are very, very weak. And your first goal as a student for all the new subject that you are going to learn in intermediate is to ensure that your fundamentals are very strong. So conceptually, every one of you, students, every one of you will have to ensure that whatever you do, each and every part, whether you are a family doing it, do it very thoroughly. More importantly, students, my humble request to all of you would be, please be very, very free to ask the questions. Whatever be the doubt, because this is the time wherein you have to ask the doubts, because you are learning the subject for the first time. There is no such thing that's a doubt is, what if the doubt is silly doubt? No such thing. You are learning the subject for the first time, primarily. You have to ensure that any doubt, whatever it be, random thoughts on the subject also, just ensure to get it clear. Because as we move forward, this is what primarily is going to help you to have a great base. Now, students, one just important aspect. My student, she is my student, without naming. She is the head examiner for this paper also. She is the head examiner for both intermediate and final CA for taxation. Now she says the kind of review that she gives, that's a taxation income tax paper, the way the students answer it, hardly I don't know how to give marks, or where should I find to give them the marks. This is what is the report. How do I find that I have to give marks? I have to literally find that which particular area is right so that I can give the marks. That is two things, students. One is the level of paper is also good. It's not, the level is above average. Question paper, huh? Level is above average. That's the kind of a question paper. Plus, the students have not done justice while they were preparing for the paper. Both the things has contributed for a very poor performance, in the examination. And that is what we have to ensure that we don't fall in that trap. So what we are going to do, students, would be, we'll systematically address each and every area of the income tax first, because this is where the things will be, and then we'll move to GST. Now my style of preparation would be like this. I will first complete the income tax part, and then when I do GST, chances are very high that if there is a long gap of income tax, then you will forget income tax also, and I cannot take that chance. So what we will do in this case, we will start practicing more. Like I have told you, I think you are aware, we will have a slot of session is of 2.5 hours. All of you are aware. I think next from Monday, The lecture timing also would be, I think, morning. Law paper is there. Law is what you do morning 8 o'clock to 10:15. You take half an hour break. 10:45 we'll meet for 2.5 hours. But just give me a concession of 15 minutes or so. When we start GST, in that GST session, 2 hours GST, half an hour would be the practice of income tax. Because I'm telling you, students, income tax is quite vast in your particular level. So we will try to solve all the ICAI questions also. Obviously, in the classroom we are going to do it. Whatever we are going to do it. But I told you already, if we don't practice, you'll forget. So the strategy would be like this: that once we are through with income tax, and when we start with GST, 2 hours GST, half an hour practice of income tax every day. So the by then, once it is over, GST you will say whatever class practice that we do, it is more than sufficient. You yourself will realize, sir, it is very easy, and yeah, you will find that it is very much going very smoothly. But it's income tax which is going to worry you if there is a gap, and I don't want the gap to be there. So till the lectures are going on and on and on, GST till it gets completed, income tax we have to keep on practicing. This would be our style of doing the preparation for this important paper, and I'm telling you, students, this will become very scoring paper. Point number two, one important point before then we'll start with the subject. Students, the ICI module level has really been a very on a better side. This module, in fact, has never been so better as compared to what they are now. At least I can say for intermediate. Final CA, I cannot comment. The depth in final CA is not that there, but inter CA, the level is really good. In inter CA, I can tell you one thing, students, we will solve everything in the module also. I told you the practice we will be doing it. So we'll ensure that nothing of module has been kept out. All the questions, because I'm telling, they will ask from that only. These chances are very high. They will pick up the direct question from there and put it in the exam. So we will take no chance. We will ensure to do these module questions. Some of the RTPs of the past, those would be covered in the classroom. And I can tell you that for other subject also, you ensure that module is covered thoroughly. In terms of the practicals, whatever it is, theory, it's fine. But practical students, it's important that all is covered. And definitely in this classroom, all the faculties are going to do that. But this is one thing that you should be very clear. Don't ignore the module practical part of your syllabus. Practicals, we need to do it thoroughly. And that is the reason why when I have this GST session, at that time, half an hour practice would be done exclusively for income tax. This would be the way we are going to go forward. Module students, obviously the changes has happened. In my subject, the changes are not that much, but still there are changes. We need to now modify everything as per the new course. So in the new course, maybe give another week's time or so, the books would be made available. But nevertheless, initially we require the session for the conceptual part. So I need to build the concept, and from that I will begin. Shall we start, students? Any particular query that it may have about the preparation part? Anything, the general particular questions that you may have in this? Any general thought or something that you wanted to ask about it? Or maybe, sir, your articleship and all those stuff. First day, liberty is there before I start off, because once I start off, then maybe it is more on the content part of it. Anything? Ask. Yeah. Yeah, that's an important point. That after group 1 is over, see the entire session that has been there. After group 1 is over, then there is a group 2. That time, students, you are only going to now practice papers. Are you going to get it? Then group 1 is going to get over. Then what are you going to do for group 1? Group 1, then practice has to be through papers. So we will have a sessions like on Sunday to Sunday, primarily. That will be told to you. But right now, since you have asked already, the planning and everything has been done accordingly. But group 1, then you have to start practice on students. Which practice? Class practice we are done. Module practice we are done. In the class itself. Thereafter, which practice? Examination. Why? Another challenge. What is another challenge? Paper is very lengthy, sir. Paper is very lengthy. Students can solve one question. Okay, but when I tell you solve this question in 20 minutes, that's where two things will happen. 20 minutes you will find, sir, I cannot do it. And even if I do it in 20 minutes, I'll make a lot of mistakes. But you give me, sir, 40 minutes, I'll do it properly. Give me 40 minutes, then I'll do it properly. Then that is the thing that now you need to come up. So once your group 1 classes are over, then you start with what? The test. Obviously, initially also test would be there. Like topic wise, 2-3 topics are then we will have some test papers. But that test is a different test. Because that is making you examination ready. Right now, it is making you concept ready. Thereafter, group 1 is over. What will happen? Then group 1, let's make you examination ready. So paper students will be there. We will have like 30 marks, so that because group 1, group 2 also you are preparing that time. Obviously, your focus would also be in group 2. We don't want to give you more load. So what we will do is that I can tell you about the income tax because that plan is already there. But since good that you have asked, 30 marks paper initially, and thereafter 50 and 50 means one would be for entire income tax, one would be for entire GST, and then finally one paper for 100 marks. And if need be, if you want, sir, one more paper, that is something you have to tell. But one paper I have decided because at least what is doable, let's do that. But paper practice is what is important after your course is over. That is a good question that he has asked. So this is how students we are going to deal with it, because I'm telling you this is a problem which he has said. This is a very important issue. Students, you may not have faced this problem in foundation examination. I'm not aware that some paper, I think it is all MCQ type of questions only which was there. So the two subjective was there. So technically speaking, that level of challenge was not there. But here you will find a challenge. And the challenge would be something you will know that, sir, this is really, in the class we were in a position to do it. In the examination, somehow we are not in a position to do it. And why? Because we have to do it in 3 hours. But the paper is not of 3 hours, 3.5 hours. And students, sometimes you should know for 6 marks, this question, how much I'm supposed to write. This is an intelligence. Because in a normal day, you will never know. You will say, okay, this is a question. You'll solve in your own pace. Okay, small things you'll keep writing. But the moment you say, no, you are going to get only 6 marks in this lengthy question, then can you afford to do those small steps? No. Then you might need to know which step I need to skip. Even that is the knowledge that you need to have. Which are the steps that I need to skip for 6 marks question? Practical, full practicals it would be. So you will practicals in taxation, like just now company law paper has happened. You people have attended law paper, isn't it? It is all theory. Like concept, case study would be there and you have to do it. Here you have to solve it. But solving require knowledge of the provision, and once you have the knowledge of the provision, then what you do? Application of provision. And the application would be through a practical question. Like for example, just think in a very normal way. Think about your parents. In this case, your parents are earning income. They have to file the return of income now. And now July has already went off for us, but return of income. So accordingly, the total income for the entire year. So in this case, they need to calculate. Numbers would be involved. Tax on the income. So calculation of income and then the tax. So therefore, it would be full practical. But practical in what sense? Through the application of provision. Yes, GST and all. You have to write some theory also. Wherever the theories are there, you will be dealt accordingly. But mainly you will find students 80% to 85%. It's full practical. Practical in the sense, provision will have some numbers. You have to solve it, and that is how we will move on. And that's the reason why I told you, when we do GST, we are not going to read. We are going to practice. Reading is not going to be helping you. What is going to help you is only practice and practice. This is one mantra that you should always keep in mind. I have to practice. This is what it is. And more the practice, more the confidence. Because there will be a lot of varieties of question. Primarily. In this case, a lot of varieties are available, students. So therefore, as much as varieties that you solve, your mind will get opened up. But there has to be a full stop. And thereafter, it has to be examination. And then you have to get yourself examination ready. So now, right now, it's conceptual plus practice And after our group 1 course is over, it will be making you exam ready. So one thing is there, students, you will be completely, now you are our property. Our property not only till this course gets over, but to ensure that you are all made examination ready. You yourself will find that the hand holding will be done till the date of examination, and definitely post thereafter for the articleship. In this case, how you take it forward for articleship, so that you have a very fantastic and fruitful journey so far as your chartered accountancy course is concerned. Make it memorable, students, because I can tell you one thing: you only get memories through the struggles that you have faced in your life. The routine, easy particular thing never become memorable. Those struggles only primarily will make a memory. When you look into the past, you will know what kind of struggles that you had on those period, how hard working you were, what kind of effort that you put. All those things will become the milestone for rest of your life. Okay. On that note, let's start then, students. Let's start, students. Let's talk about simple thing first. And today's session, students, we will have a very normal introduction primarily, because as such the classes are going to, I think Chiranjit himself have already told to all of you. Uh, so technically speaking, we start from Monday. Okay, so that is a very this thing. So Monday is what we are starting off in this case. In fact, accountancy students, a lot of changes has happened. He would have already have told you. So I think I will not comment on that. But changes are there. Something has gone to foundation, which you have not studied. A lot of changes has happened, but still coming on this part. Students, what is taxation? Student, taxation means what? What do you understand by the term tax? Anything that you have, students, in randomly, please participate. Make it such a friendly atmosphere. Income tax, perfect. So you earn and you have to pay the tax for it. Perfect. What about GST then? Do you earn? You- or yeah. When you sell what? Goods you are selling. On my particular case, coaching, GST is charged in the fees and all which we charge for coaching. Restaurant and all bill you have seen. Do they charge GST? And the answer is yes. So when I sell you the goods, or when I provide you the services, that transaction of selling the goods or providing the services, those transaction also has a tax known as GST. GST. In final CA, students, you are going to learn customs duty. What is customs duty? Is it tax, import and export? Import of the goods in India or export of the goods from India? Import of the goods in India or export of the goods from India will be subject to customs duty. That's a simple thing. Now, very basic thing. See, your mind should be very curious. We say customs duty, we say income tax, we say GST, goods and service tax. My question to all of you is, why customs duty? Why not customs tax? It should also be tax, na? Custom tax. Why you should name customs duty? Or if it is customs duty, then it should be income duty, goods and service duty, duty. It should also be that way. Here you say income tax, GST, and there, sir, you say custom duty. Why you are saying duty? Why don't you say tax? Or why you are saying tax? Why don't you say duty? You have heard, students, octroi duty. Heard of now? Maybe many of you would have heard octroi. At one time, it was excise duty. Excise duty, isn't it? Why excise duty? Why not excise tax? You should have said tax. So therefore, the question is a very basic thing, student. Tax versus duty. What exactly it is? Because this is such a basic concept. And I'm telling you, students, many CA are not even aware of it. This is the problem. Simple things. Because why? They have not got this question in their mind, or maybe they've not known at the this is the age or this is the time when you should know this. So therefore, what is the difference? You will also, students, right now in the taxation, you will also learn something like cess. Right? Today I'll not explain you what is cess, but I'll explain to you, students, what is cess going forward. But this I'm going to tell you. Right now, only focus on tax and duty. So, anything, students, what do you think of it? What is your first reaction when it came income tax, goods and service tax, customs duty? So, what comes in your mind when I say custom duty and GST? So, what comes in your mind as a difference between duty and tax? So, what comes in your mind when I ask you this question? Duty? Actually, frankly speaking, I will love to teach to all of you. Why is it so? Because this actually gives me a chance to feed the content in your mind. You are a blank slate for me right now. And it is such a privilege to feed the law and knowledge in the blank slates. Final here, do you know what I do? I have to first unlearn their knowledge and make them relearn everything. You actually don't know right now, but I just yesterday itself I finished the crash course here. Students from Mumbai actually came down for crash course here, and she is now in train. She is just now going back, staying in this hotel, Surya Hotel. They were there. One from Chennai across it. So that was the thing. And majorly, what I have to do in the crash course, unlearn and then make them relearn. And I'm going to be really will have a fantastic session. But students, this will be really be such an engaging thing if you also participate. Please speak, whatever it be. Doesn't matter if it is wrong or not. Have that particular thing. Unleash whatever is your thought, illusion about anything. And then it will make me to enter in your mind and put the content in your mind. That would be really a great thing for me. Tax versus duty, then, students. As you have said it, yes, that is the case. But students, think of it a scenario. My goods are coming from, say, Dubai, customs port. Here in Hyderabad, we don't have, but in Vishakhapatnam, we have, isn't it? In Mumbai port, also we have. Chennai is also there. Kolkata is there. So, those are the coastal areas. Port is there. What happens, students, first? The goods are unloaded. Isn't it? The goods are unloaded. And then what happens, students? Can I clear the goods without payment of duty? Can I clear the goods without the payment of duty? Answer is no. First, pay, then clear. Which means that till the time you pay, be careful, huh? Till the time you pay, it is the property of the government. Till the time you pay, it is the property of whom? Government. Pay and then clear. You know, earlier there were some movies, old, means your parents may be seeing those movies of 70s and 80s, where smuggling used to happen. And the smuggling used to happen from the port. And the government used to run behind them. Why? Because these were the goods are cleared from the port without payment of duty. So whose property? Government property. This is the property of the government. Pay the duty, then it is your property. Now you can clear. Pay the duty, clear your property. But till the time you pay the duty, it is the property of the government. Okay? But what about this thing, GST? I have manufactured my factory. I have manufactured the goods. Okay? Goods are manufactured. Is it my property? I have manufactured the goods. Is it my property? Yes. Can government confiscate the goods? No. Why? My property. I have sold the goods. That time, can I sell the goods and I can get money? Yes. And after I have sold, the money I have got, from that money I'll pay GST or income tax, as the case may be. Even GST, income tax means these are all After I sold, after I supplied, I got money. From that money I pay to the government GST. From that money I pay to the government income tax. Therefore, tax. So first my property, from the property I got income. From the income I pay taxes. In customs duty, first government's property, pay duty, then your property. See the difference. So wherever there is a duty, what happens? It is first government's property. Pay duty, it is your property. You smuggle the goods without paying duty, government will run behind you. And what they will do? Confiscate the goods. Confiscate the goods. Means right now this in Mumbai, because that's a coast area. So therefore we are aware. Many, because they confiscate, na, then there is a lot of auction of these goods. Auction take place. Many people participate in that auctions and all. Here in Hyderabad, here it will not be the case, but in Visakhapatnam or those coastal area, auction take place. Auction of what? All these smuggled items, confiscate, and then what the government will do? Government also wants money, so what they will do? Auction. But fundamentally, this is a difference. Tax versus duty. Duty, first government, then pay. It is then the property of the SSC. Tax, what happens? I manufacture, I then supply, then I will pay tax. Which tax? GST, income tax. That's a tax. This is a fundamental difference between the two. I hope that all of you are clear with this one. Now students, let's come into this. Students, now I come, this is a general meaning of the same. You want to write a difference here? Students, okay, one more thing, one more important point. One separate notebook, compulsory for our subject. Second, if possible, 2-color pen. Why 2-color pen? Because students, why what he has asked is very important. Students, although it's a practical subject, you have to solve, but then you have to give your reason also. Why you did this particular, why you did this adjustment, you have to answer, and that answer has to be on the basis of provision. A particular provision of law you will apply. On the basis of that provision, you say that this is the reason why I did this step, practical step. So you have to explain your practical steps that you do through notes, and that notes will have provision. So many students will ask, sir, in this case, do I have to by heart the provision? No, you don't have to by heart the provision. You cannot by heart the provision. But every provision will have some keywords. Every provision will have some keywords. That keyword you should know. And then on that keyword you can write your everything, you can then write in your own words. But that keyword has to be there. And from that keyword you can build your own sentence. So therefore what we will do, that whenever the keyword comes, I will make you refer students through another pen. So please keep 2-color pen in this case. So wherever the keyword comes, use another color pen, so that it becomes easier for you to revise. And the last one, students, is if possible have one highlighter. Highlighter. Why highlighter is required? Again, textbook would be there with you. Some provisions you will have to then read from textbook also. In textbook, it is better to highlight certain things if it is possible. So just keep it, students. I'm telling you, you will say, sir, my best was 10th standard. No, your best has to be now. This is your every best, means in terms of your friend circle, in terms of your dedication, in terms of your hard work, in terms of commitment, has to be now. Nobody will ask you what has happened in 10th standard, what has happened on 11th standard, what has happened on 12th standard. Those things nobody is going to ask. But what is going to happen now, everybody is going to ask. And this is what would be the winner of entire thing. So students, give your very best. This is the time for your final redemption. You are in the second last, intermediate, next year CA final, professional. This is the last few moments of your life that you're sitting in the bench like this. After that, you are on this side. So therefore, second last level, and thereafter the last level. This is therefore your best now has to be, well, keep the best for the last. The slog over, last 2 hours are there. It's full that 6 6. This is the time that you have to really get into it. So students, on that note, we will start on this one. So students, have you have the book and pen in this context, or should I only will discuss today and then writing for the next class? What do you suggest? In the next class writing. So what you do, students, but next class, but everyone have this particular thing. I'll discuss some more things. Okay, but Monday onwards, because today was only like an introductory class, but Monday onwards, students, we will require those things. Okay, buy separate notebook, two color pen, and highlighter. Please have one more. Okay, so that at least have your inputs ready, students. Okay, now all of you have difference between income tax. Sorry, difference between tax and duty. You are aware of it. So I will not enter today in that what I had in my mind. I will do it something else now. Students, difference now between income tax and GST, because that is what is a 50-50 marks. No? What is the difference? What do you think of it? We will discuss it. We will make that this. See, your mind should be like 360-degree, and then once it is like 360-degree, you know what is the base, what is the foundation of this taxation law, how the government gets the revenue out of it. The base has to be there. It should be like the churning of the ocean. We have to do it. It's ocean churning that we will do it now. So now what do you mean by income tax and GST? Difference between the two? Or perfect. I think many of you will answer the same thing. Income tax is a tax on income. And goods and service tax is what? Is a supply of goods and services. On that, or whenever there is a supply of goods and services, GST is charged. I told her, right now I'm providing services. So there is a GST element in this activity also. Sale of goods, GST element in that also. Have you heard, students, then this concept, this term, have you heard of it? Direct taxes, indirect taxes. Heard of it? So then we will see the comparison between the two. The comparison between DT versus IDT. Everyone participate. What is direct taxes? Burden of tax cannot be shifted on the other person. Will be referred as a direct tax. Okay. In indirect tax, we can shift the burden. Perfect. Okay. Indirect tax. Okay. Other than that, keep saying. There are a lot of things that could be spoken about it. Anything that you all, what he has said it makes a bunch of it, isn't it? Apart from that, say direct taxes versus indirect taxes. Tax on? Say. Say, say here. Don't worry. Directly applicable. And indirect tax, indirectly applicable. Yeah, you can say that way also. Taxes which are directly, which is leviable, applicable. Indirect tax would be everything is correct. Huh? I'm telling you. At this level, at this age, everything is correct. These are the initial things that you should say. And more importantly, you should say. That is the important part. What about anything that you want to share apart from this? But what these have said, direct, indirect tax? Say more or less, it will be the same. Anything else that you may have? Anything like the way he has put across some additions? What about you? Direct tax, same thing. How about you? Okay. How about you? Mhm. That is true. But that is also one of the important observation that he has given, that the GST is a tax which is done through by business, like the businessman who are doing the business who is undertaking the transaction relating to business. They are the one on whom the GST is charged. That is one of the another good observation which has been there apart from what we are knowing it, that is to say that the income tax is a tax directly charged and indirect tax is a tax which is indirectly, means the incidence is borne by other person. So let us then, I will also try to put across what you people have said it is correct, like this is what exactly it is. However, let me put it in a different way also, and let's see if you can appreciate this. But this is what whatever you people have said it is what is the meaning of it. But let me also try to enhance it further. If you can understand, good. If you cannot understand, let it be. Right now, first class, this much is what is enough. But let's try, isn't it? Let's make a try then. Students, indirect tax. Now think of right now indirect tax. What happens in this case? So there is a think of any transaction like right now, or maybe you are eating in restaurant. In this case, so there is a supplier, there is one supplier, and the other one would be the consumer. You are the consumer, na? You are sitting like a customer. Consumer is there, and then what he does is that his particular invoice, if you see, students, his particular invoice that you all see, what will be his invoice? Invoice, just I'm giving you, like you may have anything that you think of it. So the basic selling price, he will say 100. Just a simple example, okay? BSP, basic selling price. Thereafter what? He will impose GST. Now there are component of GST, but I'm not going to technical part, SGST, CGST, IGST. Those things right now is not required at this class, okay? GST of say 18. So what is his total value of invoice? It is 118. So 118 is the total value of invoice. Now what happens over here, students? In this case, you all are aware. He is doing what? He is charging this. The GST bill would be given to the bill would be given to you. In this case, so what happens? In this case, ultimately you will pay how much? Pay 118. And then what happens in this case? This person ultimately in this context will retain 100 with him. 100 rupees is what he is going to retain, and what he is going to say in this case, pay what? Pay 18 rupees to whom? To the government. Pay 18 rupees to whom? To the government. This is the flow of the transaction. So invoice would be generated. That would be the case. Given to the customer. Customer will pay the consideration. Thereafter, what happens in this case? 4A, he will retain this and will pay 4B to whom? To the government. Retain 100, pay to the government, in this case 18. This is what it would be, isn't it? Now, therefore, can I say, be careful what I'm saying. Now, this is the income, GST. Yeah? What happens here? In the case of direct tax, income tax as an example, think of an income. So, I earned income. I'm using very layman words. Huh? These are not the words that we are going to use henceforth when I take off with the lecture. I'm just using a very layman words just to make you understand the core concept. I have earned the income. Earned what? Income. Now, income right now, students, primarily, maybe tomorrow you'll do a job, isn't it? So your income could be salary income. Then you think, no, sir, I don't want to do job. I want to do practice. So this will be your professional income. Practice means professional income, isn't it? Then you will say investment, sir. I want to do investment in companies, and through that investment from the companies, I may get what? Dividend and interest is what I'm going to get. So therefore, this is my total income. My total income, students, isn't it? On that total income, students, what happens in this case? Say the total income, I will just put a value. So throughout the year, I have earned say 10 lakhs. Throughout the year, how much I have earned? 10 lakhs. And then on this 10 lakhs, I will then pay that tax. Which tax? Income tax. Income tax. I'm just giving a random figure right now to all of you. Say 2 lakh rupees. Random figure, not calculated. Never think that how come 2 lakhs. Okay, because that's calculation is involved. So income tax is 2 lakhs. This is how it goes. Now the question therefore to all of you is, now what happens? This is my income tax amount. Now what I'm going to do? I'm going to pay this income tax to the government. Pay this income tax to the government. So I am earning and I am paying. So government directly, the word uses direct tax. Directly is doing what? Interfacing with whom? With the person who is earning the income. So the one who is earning the income, the government directly what he does? They are interacting with that particular person. Your income, pay your income tax. So they are directly in that particular coordination with the person. Which person? Who is earning the income. Okay. Now in the indirect tax, students, what happens? The government, ultimately, who is the one who is paying the tax? Who is the one who is paying the tax? Ultimately, he is the one who is bearing the incidence of tax. He is bearing the tax. No? Why? He has paid 180 rupees. You are buying a biscuit packet. Think of it. Biscuit packet you are paying. Taxes are included. Always now students have the habit of this. Huh? These are the age that you should be very aware of what is happening around it. Don't do a transaction blindly. So have a look. When you buy a biscuit packet, just there's this wrapper there, just fold it and you will find those details. Inclusive of taxes. So who bears? You are the one who are bearing the taxes and all. Okay. So taxes is been borne by you. Taxes is paid by you. But taxes is paid by you indirectly. Through whom? Through the supplier. The supplier therefore act as what? An intermediary. So this person, ultimately the government is collecting the tax from you. The tax of 18 rupees, it's you ultimately who have paid. Paid to whom? To the government. But who was involved in between? Who was involved in between? The supplier. So can I therefore say that the government in this case is not directly interacting with you? In indirect tax, government doesn't directly interact with you. You, who are you? You are the consumer. You are the consumer. The government in indirect tax, are they interacting with you? No, they don't directly interact with you, but they indirectly, they are collecting the tax from you. Indirectly how? They make the supplier obligated that collect the tax from the consumer and pay it to us. So therefore it's an indirect taxes. Direct tax, I am earning the income, government is collecting the income tax from me. Indirect tax, you are the consumer, you are the one who ultimately pays the tax, but not directly to the government, indirectly to the government. First you pay to whom? To the consumer, sorry, to the supplier, and then the supplier finally will pay to the government. So this process is an indirect tax. Direct tax versus indirect tax. This is another distinction. How to remember these things. So indirectly, the government is collecting the tax from you by putting a supplier in between. Let the supplier collect the amount from you and then they will pay it to us. In income tax, this is what happens. You earn the income, you pay the tax. This is what would be the fundamental difference that you are going to learn in the GST and in the direct tax. Is that clear to all of you students? Same thing. Services, like say here, if suppose service, let's take the example of service now. In service, what happens? Like coaching classes right now, you can relate it right now. You are the consumer. Ultimately, you people are the consumer. We are the supplier. Okay. Now what happens? Say your fees is, students, in this case, say fees is say 22,000 plus GST we have loaded. So whatever GST that we have loaded, say 3,000 rupees. So now what is your fees? 25,000. Isn't it? This is your fees. 25,000 for both the groups. This is, I think, inclusive of GST, if I'm not wrong. 25,000 is inclusive of GST. So technically speaking, how we have worked out your fees for both the groups? We have made the fees like 22,000 as a fees, which is your base, plus 3,000. So therefore what happens? 25,000 is the total fees. But 22 plus 3, which is actually the basic fees is, base fees is 22,000 plus 3,000 is GST, 25,000. So you are the consumer. Now tell me, are you paying 3,000 to the government or you are paying 3,000 to us? To us. And then what we are going to do? We have to now pay to the government. This is the process, how it goes. So government is indirectly, not directly, indirectly, they are collecting what? They are collecting the GST from you. How indirectly? Primarily through us. We are in between. They will not interact with you. They will never interact with you. In this case, they will only interact with us. So through us, they will collect the GST. Now, so in this transaction, we have got the income. So we will have the income. Which income for us? Which income it will be? For us, it will be, I can say, it's a professional income for us. It's a professional income for us. Then from this, we will have to pay our income tax. Now for that, our income tax, will the government will ask you? No, the government will only ask us. Income tax, directly, it is for us. Indirect tax, you are the one who pays to the government, but not directly. You pay to us and then we will pay to government. You don't pay to the government at all. So in the services, what happens in this case? Services, again the same funda. When there is a supply of service, which is right now, which is happening, supply of service. In that supply of service, the consumer, you people are the consumer. In this case, consumer pays the tax. Consumer is the one who is paying the tax, but not directly to the government, but to the supplier, and then the supplier will be paying it to the government. That is how it happens in the case of service. Goods and services. Concept and fundamental will remain the same in both the cases. Clear with this one? So this is how, students, this things happens over here. Now students, one important point which has been there. As I told you, I think now broadly everyone are aware of this one. Now let me make a framework for all of you. It's important. I told you that, students, there would be provision that you people have to remember. Provisions would be required to be remembered by all of you. So students, law is what? Primarily law of India. Law of India, students. Be careful. What we'll say about law of India? There are two types of law, students, in this country. One is the revenue law. There are different ways of category. One is the revenue law. Another is what? The non-revenue law. What do you say? Revenue law or non-revenue law? Non-revenue law. Just now, morning lecture. Whose lecture? Company law. Company law was there, na? In company law, did Gautam Jain sir has told you anything about that you have to pay tax in company? Are you supposed to pay tax in that law which you are reading? No. But is it a law? Is it a section? Is it a provision that you have to know? Answer is yes. Now what you are going to learn in my subject, taxation, will you have to learn the provision, sections and all? Yes. But through those sections, what is going to happen? There would be what? A payment of tax or imposition of tax which will be involved through those sections. Are sections for what? For imposition of tax, payment of tax, collection of tax. So this is what revenue law primarily is. The branch, it would be what? The income tax and what? The GST, or for that matter the customs law, as the case may be. Customs law as the case may be. So there is a law primarily which is there herein as well. So in this particular case, this is a part of your revenue law which you are going to learn in this regard. Fine, students. And now from that, Companies Act. You started with Companies Act today. So what was that? Okay, like that. Fine. So in this case also, I think the same introduction, but I just wanted that if supposing he would have started, I could have made a comparison. So there would be a law. Maybe then in that case, I will just put a threshold law, because I think it is better that if he starts off with the thing, I will be in a better position to make a good comparison out of it, and you will really enjoy this particular part. So students, I think that is it for the introductory part. Will that be fun? Because then I think I will make the next particular session, we'll start with the notes and all those stuff. You may bring your books and all, students. And I'm telling you, students, okay, modules will be provided by us, but majorly we have covered your major good questions of the modules have been covered. But as I told you, don't worry, every questions of the module would be practiced. Fine. Practice is our forte. One is conceptual learning. In this case, conceptual learning backed by this. Students, only one thing. Many students will say, sir, what about revision and all? Revision, my suggestion, students, you have self-study, you do 1 hour. Minimum. That's it. Think, I'll tell you one thing, students. Because right now is your initial session. Na? Right now is one very important learning step that you have to have. Always. Very important point. I'm doing it in first class and I'm concluding it. Students, see, it's a first day, na? So there is a lot of that we say that Josh is there. First day is there of the class. So a lot of enthusiasm is there. We'll do this and that. And then what happens, you know? Okay, now my timing would be like 10 hours. Classes I'll do 6 hours. At home then I'll go 10 hours. Then what happens? One day you do 2 days and the third day you are completely, the train is derailed. For 1 week then you are seen nowhere. It should never happen this. Huh? You are playing a test match, huh, students, right now. You are playing what? Test match. And what is this test match? Till May 24 you have to now deal with it. And therefore what is the thing that you have to do? Have you seen, students? There are two types of students I have seen in so far. Up till my CFL, two types of students. One type of students is some students who in their study leave in final year, you'll know, they study for 12-13 hours and they can study without a break. Few breaks, that is different thing. But technically speaking, they can stretch and that comes to them effortlessly. And if some other students have to study that particular thing as if there's some mountain is there and they can collapse anytime. Either they will collapse and they will sleep or they will collapse and they will get it down. This is two things which happen. Why? For the first student, it is coming to him naturally. He is not supposed to be forced to do it, to do that. For second students, he is been forced to do it. It is not coming to him naturally. For the first student, it has become a character. It is by default is his nature. So what's a big deal? He'll say, what's a big deal? I have to study. But for others, oh, 12 hours. How is it possible? How can you study that? This difference you should understand. And this is the age wherein you have to inculcate that habit. How do you inculcate that habit? Do you know? We are in August. Till May you are there. Your peak has to be, students. The peak. Right now the classes are there. You by default will be there. That is fine. But your peak has to come primarily somewhere when you start hitting your February, March and April. This has to be your top gear. And in your top gear, as I told you, that's 12 hours and all those stuff. Should be like this. Now, how do you build up that? The best way to do it is this. Tell me one thing, students. And be very honest to yourself. Huh? You have to be absolutely honest to yourself. And whatever is doable, please do only that. Right now, there is no pressure. And when there is no pressure, you can easily achieve it. Tell me, without phone kept in other room. And full concentration. Today, no examination tomorrow. How much time you can sit? After the class, say half an hour. Half an hour is doable. No? Say after the dinner or before dinner, whichever is the time that is comfortable, or early in the morning, whichever time suits you. You say, no, sir, with this motivation lectures and all, I can do 3 hours. We don't want that because every day there cannot be motivations. In this case, what can be doable naturally in a common sense? 30 minutes, do 30 minutes. And after 30 minutes, you can tell, now you can bring the mobile phone, not an issue, inside. But that half an hour is your hour. Tell to your parents, tell everyone not to disturb you for half an hour because you are studying and that time is only your time. Even though there may be a fire in the other building, this is half an hour which you are absolutely reserving for yourself. Do that and make it a habit for 10 days. Do you know what will happen then? After on the 11th day, even though the cell phone is there, you will care a damn for it. Why? Because you know how to tackle that half an hour. Once you naturally can do that half an hour, once it comes easily to you now, extend it to 45 minutes. Next 10 days. And then strive for 45 minutes in this case. 10 days, it's a therapy of 10 days only. Yeah? 10 days is enough. If continuously you do for 10 days, you will improve your habit. If there is some addiction, like the one thing, a particular person who is having an addiction, 10 days if he family, if he leaves this thing, then addiction will go. Or it will subside big time. That urge will go out. Same way, the urge to study or making it natural. 10 days is therapy. You do this for half an hour. Then make it to 45 minutes. Next 10 days. Make it to 1 hour. But when you make it to 1 hour, again make it for 14 days now. Don't make it for 10 days. Why? Now the slots are increasing. Now the stretch has to be increased. So when the stretch has to be increased, you cannot now, oh, after 10 days again, no. Then after that, when you hit 1 hour, you just do it for 14 days. Thereafter, 1.5 hours. Then confidence will build up. Then you don't have to be told. But what I'm trying to tell you, you just do this half an hour therapy. And after you touch every next 2 hours, also do it for 14 days then. Okay. Then 3 hours when you touch, again do it for that 14 days. Half an hour you increase, 15 minutes you increase, do it for 10 days. But the moment you touch that 2 hours, 3 hours, or 4 hours, continue 14 minutes. By the time you touch February, Jan end, it should be 3 good hours that you are in a position to sit and without any phone, without anyone disturbing you, and you are effortlessly concentrating on that. What will happen? You know, already you are in class. See what is going to happen. 3 hours in that pressure with all full day study, you are doing 3 hours of an extra effort. Now what happens? Immediately, if February comes, the fresh period, already the class period, you are there. You are doing this plus that 3 hours which nobody could have done it. You are doing it. This is what will ultimately will make the difference between passing and failing. Why? Because all the students across India, I'm telling you, will be studying for that number of hours, which is the coaching hours. Why coaching hours? Because you people are here na, for full day, and this will become your routine. From 8 to 5 or 8 to 6 will be your routine. That 8 to 6 across the India, all the CA intermediate students till May 24 are going to study. So what is that extra that you have done to make that difference? This 3 hours. And that 3 hours with no burden in mind. That 3 hours was something effortless, which is coming effortlessly to you. So that is the game changer. And I'm telling you that extra 3 hours of study that you do in those last 3 months is what will ultimately will make that final finish. But for that, the journey has to begin now. And therefore, what I told you, take how? Don't do it for 10 days. Don't do for 10 days. Take it for 14 days now. You have all the time in the world at this stage without any pressure. So what I told you, I didn't told you right now that you should go home and start with how much? 12 hours. It is not going to happen. What will happen? 1-2 days you will dance 12 hours a day, and then next day you will collapse. If you cannot do it consistently, it is not you, it is someone else. Someone else motivation, someone else, some incidents, those things are happening. It is not you. Be yourself. And when you are yourself, when the things are coming to you naturally. And that is what you need to aim at. See, at the end of the day, students, what is the game? It's not only about degree, it is a person that you are, or the person that you have become in this entire CA journey. This is ultimately what is the game changer. I'll tell you, in interview rounds, they are not going to expect what is your knowledge, or because you people are freshers. But what they will interview will see primarily who you are actually and what you have become in that. And I'm telling you, it's so easy to make it out because I myself have, because I was a manager in EY, so we used to do campus interview in Mumbai at that time. So technical, if somebody has to, we can easily manipulate. And we wanted to see whether the student had the capacity to say that we don't know the answer, because we have really had a big fun in our campus interview by asking the question, and the students know that no, I have to answer it. If the question is asked, so I have to answer it. And the question was such that we know that there is no answer of that. But then that student who qualified just now and he want to get a job in this firm, so what they have to do? I have to answer. And if they answer it, then it's a fun time for us. Why? Then on the basis of their answer, our next question. All the questions are hypothetical. There are no answer, but the students are keeping going on and on. So he is just bluffing. At the end of the day, we don't say whether you are selected or not. He may think that he has done a good job, but we know what is the answer. On the contrary, I'll tell you one more student. See one more student, answer. Now, obviously, in this open platform, we should not say because it's going on YouTube and all this stuff. One big stockbroking firm was there, very big stockbroker firm in Mumbai. Now, a CA finalist, she went there, very big firm, stockbroking firm, for interview. Along with there, other people were there. CAs were also there for that interview because it's a very big firm. Anand Rathi and all. I heard of Anand Rathi firm, stockbroking firm. It's a stockbroking firm. Anand Rathi. Anyway, so that is a different thing. Name is not an important one. So it's a very big stockbroking firm. Do you know, they asked her the question, because obviously you are a CA student. So they asked the question, you know what is the answer that she said? Sir, I don't know the answer. Because actually, frankly speaking, I've done dummy. Dummy, you know, the articleship, she has not done it. So sorry, I have done a dummy. Dummy means no articleship, just only some known person, CA, has done 3 years articleship. So they were stunned. You are dummy and then you are coming to us for the interview. So she said that this is what it is. I cannot answer it because I don't know what is that, because that was a question based on the articleship. And she don't know this because she have not done articleship. So she said that I have done dummy, so I don't know the answer. And she was the only one who got selected. She was the only one who got selected. Why? Because it's a stockbroking and there is a lot of insider trading that happens. Heard of this term? In law, you'll learn. Insider trading means information getting leaked to the other, and that stockbroking, the share prices gets manipulated. These are some insider trading information which happens. And therefore, in the stockbroking business, what is important? Qualification, we'll see. We can also make you a big stockbroker without any degree. But are you a person who can be trusted? And that was the biggest qualification. Degree was incidental. And this is what they want primarily. So in the interview round, should CA this thing. Obviously, you need to get a degree. That is more important at the end of it. But what is most important for your most important part of your career is what you have become in the entire process of this journey of 3 years now. So your aim has to build a character, build the character, and that has to come now. And therefore, it should come effortlessly. And what you do for that? Do this. Start with small things. Make it a habit. Once it is a habit, it comes to you naturally. Then you escalate. Take baby step. 45 minutes. You remember those things people used to say? One particular person has to lift what? Lift that buffalo. So what he did? He started lifting first the baby buffalo. Just newborn buffalo which was there. So he started lifting it. And then every day he used to lift that baby buffalo. Baby buffalo also kept growing. And at the end of the day, after 2 years, he was lifting the entire buffalo and people were this person is lifting the buffalo. That is the point. From where he started? Starting with the baby buffalo. And in fact, he was lifting in this case. And he ended up with that. This is your aim now. And this is such a good time for all of you students. Because you are started at 3 years time. Make it and make that thing so it comes through naturally to you. And this is what you will be appreciated. And I'm telling you, this is what ultimately it's matter at the end of the day. Fine. On this note, students, then I'll see you now on Monday. Bring this notebook, 2-color pen and the highlighter, and then we start the first particular class on the income tax. Okay, so thank you very much. See you. We'll have a very great session together. Thank you.